Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, today is the day that we speak about the Chicago Bulls. And this is a team that I like a whole lot because, to be honest with you, I think they've pretty much turned themselves into a contender, possibly overnight. One of the most improved teams in the NBA this year. They did some phenomenal things. Their GM, Mark Eversley, has come in for guard packs and has just turned things around. Him and Reinsdorf have done a fantastic job at just putting a team together that the city of Chicago can be excited about, proud of. A balanced basketball team that doesn't have guys playing out of position, doesn't have dead weight on the back of the roster, eating up the cap. Got players that should fit with one another, should be able to win with one another with the type of names that they have on this roster, type of defense that they've put on this team this year. And I'm very excited about the upside of the Chicago Bulls. I don't know how far they can go because they'll have to actually get on the floor, stay healthy, gel, all of those different things. But over the next several years, this is a real Eastern Conference team. You're going to have to deal with them every year. So as far as Chicago's concerned, even though the mentality is win now, if they don't necessarily overachieve this year, I don't take that as a loss because what they've done is put together something that's supposed to sustain over several. So that's the way I want you guys to look at this team. Even though they're win now, don't even worry about it. They got a lot of talent and they should be able to keep it together if they can manage to sign Zach LaVine. I know there's some tricky stuff going on with his specific situation in regards to his contract. I don't understand it very well, so I'm not going to sit here and try to explain it to you guys, but he hasn't gotten his money yet, and it's some type of loopholes to where that is the case, and neither party wants that. Chicago is ready to sign him, and of course he's ready to sign. For whatever reason, that just isn't possible right now to get him that max deal that he deserves. So we'll see. Because of it, I think they have a little more talent on this team, though. I think that works in their favor because they were able to get guys like DeMar DeRozan and AC and all that and pay those guys, make sure they're here, Lonzo. So we'll talk about everybody, man. I did a lot of homework on some of the guys that they got in the back of the bench and also, rookies, as I always do. This team took took quite a bit of time to study, to be honest with you, because they do have so many intriguing players that they just picked up. So bear with me. We're going in on the Chicago Bulls, coached by Billy Donovan. All right. First name up, we're going to talk about Zach LaVine because he is the guy that we were mentioning, obviously a star in this league, a scorer extraordinaire, somebody who had a bad knee injury early in his career, but it didn't really matter. He bounced back from that very strong, still one of the best athletic leapers in the world, of any sport, anywhere. This dude can leap off the floor better than most human beings ever will, and he's done it in spectacular fashion. He's involved himself in several dunk contests, has won them in controversial fashion, but nevertheless, he did his part, put it like that, and continues to show the NBA why he's one of the better streak shooters in the league. I mean, he can string together 8 threes with ease. His jump shot has so much elevation because of his superior athleticism and leaping. He just shoot all day, and it's no problem. So clearly, this is somebody who's ready to win. He's been in the league. He's paid his dues. He's been a good player for both the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he started, and of course the Chicago Bulls, who have done a good job at now putting the right players around him and helping him develop into this stage of his career. So the most important thing for Zach LaVine is to just stay healthy, make it through this season so he can get his money. So I hope that the Chicago Bulls are able to facilitate that by keeping him in situations that work for him, by limiting situations where he's playing meaningless basketball, and ultimately just, overall just staying healthy as best you can, But that's most important. You're going to keep an eye on Zach LaVine's health. We're rooting for him because it's so important that he ends the season healthy to get his money. So the next name I'll mention here is Nikola Vucevic. Their superstar, all-star. I don't know if you can call him a superstar just yet, but the type of numbers that he puts up, he's damn close. He's one of those guys where you must respect him in the paint. You must respect him from behind the arc. You must respect his rebounding ability. You must respect the fact that this is a star player that probably should be doubled every time he touches the ball. He can pass for others. He can do a lot of different things for you. But at the end of the day, he's just a very consistent star player in the paint who's going to continue to score on you pretty much from 3 levels. And I think he's going to continue to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an all-star team this year, especially with this team. And as long as he's healthy, even though he's had some issues with that in his early years, as long as he's healthy, and they're able to do some of the things that help him be himself, playing at a good pace for what it is that he does, they're going to be just fine. I like the addition of the players that they have that can help him get the ball to him rather than having him facilitate for others as much. He can be the finisher of some of these plays. So I really like his role on this team more so than I did when he first got there. Obviously, when he first got there, he had just been traded from the team he had played for and made all-star teams with, the Orlando Magic, for many years, in the middle of the season. And he didn't play well. As soon as he got there, he didn't look his best. The team started to go south. It just his trade kind of triggered the downfall of the Chicago Bulls for that year. But what it did also was put a very, very talented center in place that gives them the type of cachet that would bring a guy like AC, or bring a guy like DeMar DeRozan, or a guy like Lonzo, whom we'll talk about, to this team. So what he did was give them cachet and a certain level of relevance. So even though they had to forego that year, it didn't matter, because what they were building was for the future, and the future has begun. So I like the Nikola Vucevic acquisition. I like that he's on this team for the long haul, and I think he fits what it is that they're doing, so long as he can keep up with the pace that I think this team is best playing at. I think he will, and I think it'll be just fine. All right, next up, we will talk about DeMar DeRozan. Now, DeMar DeRozan is a very, very, very talented shooting guard, small forward in this league. I always reference him as one of the great players to think about when considering guys coming along slowly from their rookie season and then progressing a little bit every single year. He and Giannis are probably the best I've seen at that off top. They just continue to get better and better and better and better. A guy like Colin Sexton is doing that as we speak. You know, you just see big jumps from players like that, or incremental jumps rather, in situations such as these. And you just love DeMar DeRozan. And who he's become as a basketball player. Obviously highly athletic, always has been, but he's really become a mid-range specialist, and he's also turned himself into a reliable facilitator with the San Antonio Spurs, upping his assist numbers and things of that nature. He's just a really, really talented guy. Three-point shot, inconsistent from year to year, but over the last several years, he's increased his three-point shot, made himself a little bit more reliable from behind the arc. I think at this stage in his career, he'll be even better. Especially with the type of looks that he'll probably get on this team. So I think DeMar DeRozan's in a good spot. Obviously, he's a little frustrated that he wasn't able to kind of have more control over his free agency destination. But I think his desire to be with the Lakers would have left him in a situation that probably wouldn't have been best for him. I think he would have been a guy who was probably in a position to probably get traded at the deadline this year, if he were to sign with the Lakers at some very, very, very affordable price, which is what he was rumored to be thinking and mulling over, hoping that the Lakers would kind of be able to do that. But it just didn't benefit him. If he had some type of guarantee that he would finish the season with the Lakers, that would have made more sense to me to make such a sacrifice. But this is a much better situation for him. He's at the Chicago Bulls, but most importantly, he's on a contract that's guaranteed for 4 years. So he doesn't have to worry about how he's going to get his money over the next several years. And I think at this stage in his career, that's much better for him and his circumstances than probably just trying to go to the Lakers and being the fourth guy on the team, or something like that for small amounts of money, risk getting hurt, and then you never get the chance at this kind of cash again. You don't do that. You put yourself in a position to get the money now, and then do like Carmelo Anthony did. Do like some of these other guys are doing. Come to the Lakers at the absolute end. And just try to run it that way if you decide to. But, I don't think he's in a situation that is going to keep him from contending here. That's for damn sure. I think he's effectively signed with a team that'll put him in a position to maybe hoist a trophy anyway. So I think he should feel very good about being in Chicago. I think he should feel good about the type of talent they have around him. I think they should feel good about their front office, because they're doing some aggressive things, as you can see, we'll see as we continue to speak. So I like DeMar DeRozan with Chicago, and I think it'll be something that he calls home before it's over with. All right, next up, AC. I didn't do any homework on AC because I've been following AC his entire career. I didn't think it was necessary for me to take notes on him particularly. AC being my guy, Alex Caruso, NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers. Two-way, mostly I would say he's a guy that you feel most confident about on the defensive side of the ball. Now, he has great offensive potential, playmaking, slashing to the basket. He can shoot a little bit. We've seen him make them. We've seen him miss them. You can count on him when it really matters, though. He's already won it. You know that. The thing about it is, for him, it was just about at what price for the Lakers. We would have loved to bring AC back, and he would have probably been starting at the 2 guard or something like that for the Lakers. But it was time for him to spread his wings. He had been with the Laker organization since the G League days. He's been moving through the LA market the whole time, and he's kind of reached his goals. Everything you would want to do as a Laker, he's done, except make some money, So it's time to get that contract. It's less about, in my opinion, for AC, this was less about going somewhere else and just getting away from the Lakers, and more so about getting that contract that the Lakers just ultimately probably wouldn't have be able to pay him. So Chicago can give him that contract. They have a role for him here. He's going to be kind of taking over that, I want to say Tomas Satoransky role, sort of, but I don't remember if Satoransky was there last year. But the point is, he's going to be kind of coming in, looking to do combo things for them. Playing defense, obviously facilitating the basketball, helping with that. This team is significantly better this year because of the presence of a guy like AC, particularly passing the rock. You just know last year that they were so stagnant. Shoot, for the last 5 years, they've been very stagnant because they didn't have effective passers on the roster at any given time. They were asking players like Kobe White, who were, capable of making passes here and there, to be like Lonzo Ball and facilitate the basketball consistently for others. That's just not the best way to utilize that particular player. This team has put AC and Lonzo and guys like that on this team who can now pass forever. No question, they're always going to make people better. DeMar DeRozan, as I said, same thing. They're going to make passes for others and one another. So players who are on this team who shouldn't be looking to pass, who should be looking to score, like Kobe White, they can do that now. No issue. So I love what they've done in regards to putting these players, these playmakers on this team. It's the best thing, the very best thing for themselves. So yeah, that's how I look at AC, man. He's going to lock people down, though. Don't get it twisted. Defense first. He's locking you down. He's one of the best on-ball defenders at that guard spot in the NBA today. You can put him on very, very good players, and he will keep up with him. He's already proven that. So just play him and feel good about it, because Lakers fans, we sure did. All right, next up, Lonzo. Let's talk Zoe, man. ZO2, you know what it is. I'm a Lonzo Ball fan, Ball family fan in general. I've been following them since they were like 12. You know what I mean? I'm from LA, so we've been hearing about those guys since the beginning. I told people they were going to take over the league back in like 2016 or something. It's been a very long time since I've been paying attention to them. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised by anything I'm seeing. As far as their family is concerned as in the NBA, I figured that Melo would come out the gate firing and be great out the gate, just like they were promoting Zoe to be. And I figured Zoe would probably take a little time to get together because he had that shot he would need to reinvent, for which he's done. And has done a damn good job over the last several years reinventing that shot. I think what I heard from him in regards to media day that kind of stood out was he was saying that this team is going to allow him to be a point guard. They're not going to ask him to do something that he's not supposed to be doing. They're not going to ask him to be something he's not. And that's the theme for the Chicago team this year. The guys are going to fall into place. And maybe they didn't have those opportunities in previous roles, whether they were in Chicago or not. So I love this for Lonzo Ball. I think this is a perfect situation where he's going to a place that can pay him, that needs what it is that he brings to the table, and to ultimately give him the opportunity to shine in winning situations. Perfect storm. He's going to make guys better. And the situation that he signed up to play in, this is like a blessing, because he signed up to be on a good Chicago team. He didn't know he was going to be playing with DeMar DeRozan. He did, you know what I'm saying? This is a much better situation than he had agreed to sign up for. So you got to love how the stars have aligned for a guy like Lonzo Ball to find himself in this situation after being in New Orleans paying some dues, man, and playing for bad Laker teams as well. So I love this for Lonzo. The pressure's back up, though. This ain't New Orleans. You got to win here. Chicago ain't going to be playing no games. They want to see a winner. They know who they used to have. They know what their 6 championship banners up there. You can't, they're going to want to see you be who it is that we know you always can be, have always been, just didn't necessarily have the role to allow you to show it. Playing with LeBron James, you played well off Bron, but it kind of limited you when you were in shooting as well. I think you played better with Bron today. Now that he's a better shooter, of course. But this is a great situation for him, and he's going to continue to shine both defensively and offensively, particularly defensively, because we know Lonzo is one of the best on-ball defenders in basketball, period. And when he's locked in, he's on you like skin. As simple as that. So obviously he's a facilitator, obviously somebody, a lob threat, great in length. Just somebody who's going to be humble down there. You know, he's not going to be full of himself at all. He's going to make others better. He's going to pass first, pass second, but be an aggressive scorer. I think he's gotten to a point where he understands his body's put on strength. Kind of fought some injuries here and there, so I think he has the right type of habits to stay healthy as best as he can control, of course. And I think he's ready to go, man. This should be a very good year for Lonzo Ball. It's going to be hard to make an all-star team with so many players on this team with upside. It's kind of going to get to a point where some of them are going to cancel each other out for some of the personal accolades, I think, particularly with this squad. But ultimately, if everybody's going to come together, it's going to be because Lonzo Ball made it happen. I really do believe that even though DeMar DeRozan, even though you have AC, this thing starts and ends with Lonzo Ball. And if they're doing it properly, that's exactly how it's going to go. With respect to Zach LaVine, of course, who's going to have the ball in his hands repeatedly to shoot and score. But as far as the responsibility to make this thing come together, it's going to be on Lonzo. It's him. He's the facilitator. He's the head of the snake. And if they run this thing like he ran UCLA, they're going to be a hell of a hard team to stop. Very, very hard team to stop. Especially with the youth and athleticism and the defensive versatility of some of the wings on this team. You add Lonzo Ball to that situation, and you have a potential nightmare in the Eastern Conference. So I don't think a lot of people see it, but this team has a lot of wings. We will continue to talk about that. So yeah, Lonzo Ball, multi-positional guy. Of course, he can play the 1 and the 2 comfortably, and continues to improve, man. I just look at him as a fantastic rebounder, all-around player, more and more fluid as his shot continues to improve. He just has to continue to get better from the free throw line and continue to put muscle on his body so that he can continue to body up some of these guys that he's going to be guarding who may be a little bigger than him. But I love Lonzo's game. Big fan of the Ball family, so more power to those guys, man. All right, let's keep it going. I did some homework on a few of these guys. I'm looking at those names: Pat Will, Kobe Wright, Ayo Dosunmu, Alize Johnson, Tony Bradley. I'll talk about all those guys. So yeah, let's keep it going. Troy Brown, he's also a guy. So we got a lot to talk about here. Let's see. Derrick Jones Jr. is on this team. Now, Derrick Jones Jr., I got to apologize to everybody because in my Boston video, mistook Derrick Jones Jr.'s situation for Josh Richardson and confused the two. And I wasn't confused about the players necessarily, but something that I referenced was not about Richardson. It was actually about Derrick Jones. He's a player who's really, really super athletic. Translates to be a guy that you want to see in the open court. Obviously a glob threat. Defensive guy with length, super length. Can just run like the wind. Transition threat, all of that. But he's just an underachieved guy in this league thus far. I don't know why that is. Can't tell you the truth. You can clearly see why I mistook the two players because they both played in Miami, both kind of played similar roles, both had struggles after they left, etc. So that's why I made that mistake. But all in all, Derrick Jones Jr. is a guy who's going to really help this team because he's not going to be asked to do some of the things he was asked to do in some of those previous places. He was with Portland. He was asked to be the small forward off the bench, the guy who guarded other people. He ain't going to be asked to do that here. In Miami, he had more of a go-to role. Hey, come off the bench, light up our crowd. Be the first forward off the bench or something like that. No, that's not what he's going to be asked to do. He's going to be further down the bench, but he's going to be a heck of a weapon to throw in there with these other forwards that do what it is that he does. Lots of ability to get easy basketball plays for Lonzo Ball, who throws that long pass down court. Look for him to create a lot of highlight opportunities for a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. He's always going to make Derrick Jones better. Just letting y'all know now. So will the other guys, DeMar DeRozan, AC, the facilitators. They will make him better. He's going to be a better version of himself with whatever minutes they have. I'm telling you now. Thing is, what are those minutes? So many forwards. So, let's see. Stanley Johnson, another forward. Similar situation, underachieved, kind of a bust. Some would consider LA native. Just kind of drafted in some bad situations. Went to Detroit. That wasn't a good situation. Toronto, he was behind a bunch of people. Kind of came in to replace Kawhi Leonard. I mean, how can you win in that situation? I haven't seen a whole lot from Stanley Johnson that makes me feel like there's much upside from this point. But he's in this league and he's on a good team. That's the thing. When you find yourself on a good team, that makes you want to push yourself to be your best self. That makes you have more focus. That puts you in a position to value your time on the floor in garbage time when you're up by 40 instead of down by 20. You know, those are the type of things that are going to be a difference for a guy like Stanley Johnson to maybe play with some confidence and kind of carve out what it is that he can do. He's been in the league for several years, so I'd imagine he's been working out, getting stronger. If there's something there to show, I'm pretty sure this roster will get the most out of him because there's balance here, and he probably fits just fine. All right. Let's see, man. I'm trying to skip over the names that I'm going to have to speak on. So there's some guys here, of course, that I did not do homework on, some guys that I don't know that will play as much, but I did write down some things. A guy from L.A. by the name of Ethan Thompson, undrafted guard out of Oregon, 6'5". So he'll have an opportunity to kind of play his way up and see what he can do as a guard for this Bulls squad. Devin Dotson is on this team. Tyler Cook, a power forward center combination guy, 6'8" out of Iowa. And let's see. Also, Marko Simonovic. Marko Simonovic. Sorry, I'm messing up the name, I'm sure. 6'11", power forward center combination, 44th pick in last year's draft out of Montenegro. So I think, they got some guys here. Another guy as well, Javonte Green is on this team. So yeah, that's what we got there. And I'm going to get into the guys that I've actually studied on. And the first name we see here is Troy Brown. Troy Brown was the 15th pick in 2018. A lefty out of Oregon with a nice shooting stroke. Very good in the pick and roll. Playmaking potential. Very, very good downhill. Makes just flat out good basketball decisions. A guy with high IQ. Disciplined defender as well. He plays D, man. Very, very, very smart and very careful defensively. He translates basically as a 3-and-D player. Can shoot the three some, things like that. Makes plays off the dribble, things like that. So Troy Brown is a guy who's kind of really shown that he could play over the last several years. Had some good times with the Washington Wizards. Showed that he could play, but got hurt. That was the thing with Troy Brown, that stayed hurt for a long time. But when he came back, he picked right back up where he came from, continuing to play well. Got with his Chicago team, had some good games there. I saw highlights of some of his good games. He's an ever-improving player with a lot of fluidity to his basketball game. He reminds me of a Jalen Rose type of guy, to be honest with you. That's what I saw in him. A lot of Jalen Rose, lefty, playmaker, plays D, does some things with the dribble. I like Troy Brown. I think he's going to be very good. And I wouldn't be surprised if he plays himself into a big role over the next several years with this team or maybe another. But he's going to be around. This is a guy. A very good one, actually. All right. Since I wrote two names on this particular paper, we can just segue to it. A guy by the name of Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley played with Philadelphia and shined. He was actually drafted by the Lakers, with the 28th pick back in 2017. 6'10" with a 7'5" wingspan out of North Carolina. 7'5" wingspan. Let that sink in. 64% all-time field goal shooter because he's dunking everything. He's in the paint. He's not a guy who's athletic. I read somewhere somebody said he runs like he has cement shoes. I'd agree. But it does not matter because he's able to be effective. As long as you're playing at a pace he can keep up with, he's going to do a lot of good things within it, just being smart. Length, good on defense. He's a heads-up kind of defensive player. Switch as well, not bad. Set shot in terms of the mid-range. You're not asking him to shoot the three. I don't think he's even attempted a three-point shot in the NBA. I think that's a mistake. Looking at his shot from mid-range, looking at his form, I would try to see if he can stretch that out some. Start that now, and by the time he does have a real role in this league, that will be in his wheelhouse. I see the form. It's there. Just let step back there and try those in practice until you're comfortable, of course. Good on D. Very good on D, as I said. Not bad, as I said. Not an athletic guy, but can be very, very effective vertically. Like I said, he's not getting off the ground. You're gonna slip a paper underneath this dude when he jumps. That's about as much as you're gonna get. Only about a sheet of paper. But vertically, with that 7'5" wingspan, it's like he's jumping. And he's smart, so he's not going to be hopping all over the place, biting on pump fakes and things like that. He's going to play smart. I really like what I saw out of him in Philly. When Joel went down, This dude stepped in and was very, very good for that team. Nice touch around the rim. Ran the floor pretty well, even though he's not the fastest dude in the world. I think as he continues to grow, he's still young, put on some more strength. He's going to get better and better, and I'd like to see him continue to get opportunities. I think the Chicago team, of course, as I said, with the facilitators on this team, makes it even better. And he'll come in and play some good minutes for Vucevic. That's what I see. You know, he's not a guy who's going to be getting a heck of a lot of minutes, but he's going to earn more minutes, in my opinion, if he has given opportunities. And being that they're not so deep at the center position, as I look at their roster, not so deep, I think there will be opportunities for him to be maybe the first guy off the bench at the center position, unless they go small. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a very good role for Tony Bradley, and that's one of the reasons why I did homework on him. I think you'll see a lot of him, unless they make some roster changes that I don't see coming. So let's keep it going. Keep it going. Give me a second here. Flip this sheet, and we got going the wrong way here. Okay, let's see. Ayo Dosunmu, and I might be saying his last name the very wrong way. I apologize, but Ayo Dosunmu, possibly. Homie from Chicago, Illinois. Born and raised where he's playing, just like Derrick Rose. It's a feel-good story, especially if you follow what's going on in Chicago. Anytime you see a hometown Chicago kid get a chance to play at home, that means a lot to them, I can tell you right now. 6'5", 6'10 wingspan, combo guard. He shot 48% from the field goal in Illinois, 39% from three, so he definitely can shoot the three-point shot, and 78% from the free throw line. This is a guy who can shoot the free throw too. 3-level scorer. That's what I just described to you. And his percentages, you can see a very, very, very good shooter potentially. I mean, he's shooting 39% in college. That's fire. That's what you want to see. Very good transition scorer. Fast downhill. This boy moves. You think you're going to catch him in transition. Good luck. He's gone. With that 6'10 wingspan at 6'5, that size is imposing. He's catching lobs. He's blocking shots. He's doing a lot of things running the floor. So you have to understand, the first thing we're talking about with Ayo, this boy running. Very good handle. Oh, man. I didn't know this boy could cross you up like that. He reminds me a little bit of Brandon Ingram in terms of his handle. Lots of crossovers, lots of ISO ability. He's going to get better as a slasher. Not as explosive as you would think with the type of body that he has. He doesn't jump off the floor with a lot of strength, but very effective just the same with the type of length he has. He's an awkward finisher. He finds scoop shots and things like that, kind of awkward, but it goes. You know, he converts 48% from the field. It's not about how it looks. It's about how it gets done. That it gets done, more so. Improved quite a bit in catch and shoot situations in college. Went from poor to good, basically, in a matter of a season. As I said, unorthodox shooting style, but it works. It falls. Pick and roll potential, makes the right read, things like that, can make a very nice whip pass that I've seen him making highlights. So the potential of him to be an above average facilitator himself is there. Very, very, very much a need for this team. Terrific ball defender. He's one of the best ball defenders in the draft, 1 through 3. Guards the pick and roll very, very well. And will steal the rock from you. He averaged 1.1 steal a game in college. So this is a guy I'm super excited about. He shoots a lot better than I thought he did in looking at him preliminarily, just at the beginning of the highlights. And you see them highlight numbers, the statistics on it, you're like, oh, he really is a shooter. So I personally think the NBA kind of slept. Looking at his makeup, looking at the type of stuff that he's doing, I think the NBA may have missed the bus on this guy. And I think that the Chicago Bulls got a hell of a sleeper, to be honest with you. I'm not saying he's winning Rookie of the Year because this is one of the deepest rookie classes of all time, if not the very deepest rookie class ever. It could be. And this guy's just one of many names within it. But I'm telling you, his upside is just as high as some of the guys that you like a lot based on what I've seen. All right. Next up, Patrick Williams, one of my very favorite players from last year's draft. I'm super high on Patrick Williams. This is a guy who is a 6'8 power forward, small forward combination with a 6'11 wingspan. Taken with the 4th pick in the draft last year, as I said, and he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. I know, that's not what you thought you were going to hear, but that's exactly what it is. He's going to miss the season, first couple weeks of the season to be exact, not the whole season. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, which leads him up probably within maybe a couple weeks of the first first couple weeks of the season, something like that. But it was a severe ankle injury, unfortunately. And this is such an important piece. This is somebody that you expected to start possibly at the power forward position for this team. In fact, likely. It was one of those situations where you knew he was going to come in and have a role that fits what it is that he does. This is a high motor, high IQ defensive juggernaut. Simple as that. 45% field goal percenter, 32% from three, so he's competent. Can rim protect, blocking shots, stuff like that. Very aggressive on the boards. Has a knack for the ball. A 50-50 guy. Offensive rebound strengths, good size and strength in general. Never gives up on plays. Great in rotations, things of that nature. You just have to deal with this guy on both sides of the floor. He reminds a lot of people of Kawhi Leonard in his body makeup and his style of play. Mid-range expert, pull-up game all day long. He will take advantage of the mid-range as well as any young player I've seen come into the league in quite a while. One of the first things I seen him do was just knock down a bunch of mid-range shots that they just kept giving him in preseason last year. I would see it. I would watch highlights because he's one of my favorite players last year. I'd see how he's doing. And they would just let him step into a rhythm mid-range shot. And you realize most players in the league, previous eras, they didn't take advantage of the mid-range. It was either three-point shot or they were driving to the lane. If it wasn't DeMar DeRozan, if it wasn't LaMarcus Aldridge, a couple other guys, there wasn't no mid-range shots being taken. That is no longer the case when you got guys like Pat Williams coming into the game who understand that and are looking to attack you from that position on the basketball floor. Is extremely, extremely dangerous if you're going to leave him alone at that mid-range spot. I know you have to respect his three and you have to respect his drive, but Pat will shoot jumpers all night long. I'm letting you know now. And there are other players who come in this league just like it, so y'all better tighten that up. All right. So he can shoot the three. He will improve, as I said, but that mid-range is his thing. Gets to his spots extremely well. He's a very strong player, so he's going to body you up. He's going to get you out of your position defensively, and he's going to get to his spots whether you like it or not. Upside with his handle, reading some of the fans' things that they were saying on YouTube, stuff like that. A lot of people were saying that's what's holding him back right now. He doesn't have a very good handle at this point, although the upside for the handle is there in his drive and in his draft profile. Ultimately, that's really where he needs to improve quite a bit in order to be playable as they want him to be. But ultimately, he has fantastic balance, good footwork on his pull-up game. So even though he's not the greatest ball handler, he's still extremely effective in the things you need him to be. Can play make for others out of the pick and roll, makes good passes in those situations. And a very good finisher, and of course a great help defender as he's a great all-around defender. So that sums up everything I've said about Patrick Williams, or written down rather, and you just hate the fact that he's starting his season not healthy. That's the bottom line. With a team that has this much momentum, you don't want a key cog coming in having to work his way into the situation after basketball's already started playing in a season where, again, the Eastern Conference is loaded. So, yeah, I'm sure there's other players. I got more to talk about here. We're going to keep it going. Kobe White. I love Kobe White's role on this team this season. I have not loved Kobe White's role on this team any time before this season, but right now he's finally on a team that he fits. 6'4", 6'4" wingspan, very much balanced there. 7th pick in the 2019 draft out of North Carolina, and he's fast, boy. This boy fast. He's somebody that you cannot understand how fast he is in transition, particularly with the ball in his hands. He could stop on a dime, pull up from anywhere on fast speed. I'm talking full foot speed, stop on a dime, pull up, hit a jumper, you backpedaling, you got beat. Like, he's somebody you have to respect all three levels of his scoring ability. He's a very efficient inside scorer, only getting better there, and a very, very unconscious three-point shooter. And even though he shoots sometimes when he shouldn't, sometimes he'll miss some and keep shooting, ultimately he's a score-first guard who is going to be very, very dangerous from behind the arc. Deep range, you got it. He can do that. Smooth release, catch and shoot, off the bounce. He can shoot from everywhere. Anyway, score first, but can pass some. I saw some good passes in his highlights from both college and from the previous season. So they've been asking him to facilitate and be a facilitating guard. That's not his game in Chicago. But if necessary, and since it was necessary, he's probably much better at it than maybe he would have been had he not been forced into that situation. So even though it was a struggle, in the long run, it's going to be tremendous. tremendous for him to have been forced to pass. Loves to split the pick and roll. This is one of his main things. You trying to get to that pick and roll, trying to defend it. Don't play with him. He'll split it. Score first and second and third. Like I said, he can pass some, but you want him to score. You want him to be looking to shoot, and that's it. And if he's looking to shoot, the pass can just be a decoy to whatever else that he has in his stuff. You don't want him looking to pass. You just, you want the pass to be available to him, and you want him to use it when it's necessary. Let's see. He's a rhythm shooter with no conscience, as I'm saying. Potential killer, right? You consider that when you know a guy is a guy who can get hot and stay hot. Yeah, that's potentially somebody who's going to look to take your heart from you. Efficient finishing at the rim, as I said, very efficient there. Can finish through contact as he continues to grow stronger. He's a guy who's low to the ground, good center of gravity. He's going to barrel through people, and he's going to finish, and he's going to do great from the line as well. So you just have to deal with his 3-level ability. Let's see, strong guard, very strong, as I said. Dangerous in transition, as I've already said, and can make tough shots. Has step backs. He's developed a lot of stuff over the last several years in his offensive repertoire. Now you just have to deal with those combination of skills. So he's a guy that I think could be up for 6th Man of the Year this year, to be honest with you. The fact that you have Lonzo Ball in place and as of other facilitators, of course, as I've mentioned, who are there to get him the ball instead of forcing him to be the one to get someone else the ball. Now he's in a position to just take those rhythm shots, get in his spots, and just do what it is that he does. And I think he's going to do it repeatedly. I think he's going to be a devastating player for players the teams have to go against in this particular set of players on this roster. When you're dealing with all that the Chicago Bulls bring to the table, and you're sweating because you've had to deal with that, and then you got a second unit coming in having to deal with Kobe White and his 3-point antics, it's going to be very difficult on certain nights to deal with the Chicago team. You better have a strong bench. You better have some wing players and some athleticism too, or they're going to run you out of the gym. I'm telling you right now. All right, next player we're talking about, Alize Johnson. I don't know why the Nets let go of Alize Johnson. I said that before I did homework on him. It's even more evident to me they shouldn't have let him go. But one man's trash, another man's treasure, and the Bulls have picked up a treasure, a real one. Alize Johnson, 0-star recruit out of high school, even though that was some bull crap, because I saw his highlights in high school. The boy was balling. People were sleeping. That's all it was. He was coming out of a little town in Pennsylvania. Nobody knew who he was, and they wasn't checking for him. But he was balling. He went to some small college, I believe. I wish I wrote down the small college, but I think he ended up somewhere else, Missouri State to be exact. So that's where he ended up going. And he shot very well there. 49% from the field goal, 31% from 3. So he's okay from 3. But I saw mechanical success there in terms of his percentages going up just simply because of reps. He can shoot 77% from the free throw line, so he's going to improve there. He can shoot. Plays hard, man. Both sides of the floor. This is a dude who does not look as if he understands that he can kind of relax. He's one of those, like, bro, you can relax. You don't have to go hard all the time, but he's going to do that. He's a rebound monster in the G League. Where he was forced to kind of play his role and play his dues, rather. He averaged 14 rebounds. This is somebody who is only 6'7", averaging 14 rebounds. So you understand the effort that I'm trying to help you understand this dude is going to give you. Very strong forward, small forward, power forward combination. Very strong. Can shoot the mid-range and the 3, spot up 3 mechanics. You leave him alone, he's going to shoot you down. Confident scorer. Very, very good finisher, very aggressive driver. He has a 6'8" wingspan with his 6'7" body, so there's balance there with length. Very imposing. He looks bigger than he actually is, to be honest with you. He has good form to him, good balance to his body. Aggressive driver with a solid handle, very solid handle actually. He could do some things to you downhill particularly, and it reminds me some of Jimmy Butler. Like a young Jimmy Butler, kind of, if you want to say poor man's, I think it's fair, but he really does remind me of Jimmy Butler, and I think that's why they picked him up. Strong catch and shoot ability. He's going to only get better at catch and shoot situations. So this is somebody who's a scorer, man. Alize Johnson was a terrific storyline of a guy who believed in himself, was in a situation that didn't have the lights on him, didn't have the politics behind him, but still fought his way through the ranks to get to this point. And even now is being disrespected. I love him on this team, even though they have a lot of small forwards. He's probably one of the best ones they got coming off that bench, to be completely honest with you. And he's going to prove that when he gets good opportunities to play. Chicago, invest in this dude. invest in them. I know you got Ayo. I know you got DeMar DeRozan. So it's a lot of forwards. Derrick Jones is forward city here. But invest in Alize. Make sure he's getting about 15, 20 minutes a game and lots of attention in practice. This is somebody who can take over a game by himself. I'm telling you, I've seen it. In terms of the ability to put his head down and score 5, 6, 7 straight buckets, at his best, he's going to do that. He's going to do that. He's unconscious, and what you got to understand is when you got a guy coming from humble beginnings who's always been told he wasn't nothing, there's no lights too bright for a guy like this. There's no situation that's going to rattle his bones. You can tell by the path that he's on that he's built for what it is that's next. So that's how I look at stuff like this. It's like, yo, you seen where he's been through? He can, whatever's next, he's going to mow it down too. So you better have him on your team because he's definitely going to be a weapon at just fighting adversity in general. So I love his game, but I also like the fact that he took this path, that he wasn't deterred by the 0-star recruit stuff and all the crap, even going through the G League and ultimately getting cut by the Nets. He didn't waver. He had suitors, and I think he's going to make the Nets pay dearly for letting him go. He's going to make them pay. Now, I don't know to what extent. It's the Nets, but he will remind everybody that he should have never, ever, ever been forgotten about. And how far he goes from here, we saw the same thing with Jimmy. Jimmy went through similar stuff, some tough stuff, had to fight his way. This guy's one of those guys. He fights his way. You're going to get a lot out of Alize Johnson if he's healthy. I believe that. Even with limited minutes, he's a overachiever, and he's going to earn his money. Trust and believe. I'm a believer. So that's what I got there. Brooklyn, you messed up. You should never let that guy go. Should never let him go. So that's what I got, man. I think that's everybody. No, was it Tony Bradley? I did Tony Bradley. Yep, he was two in one page for Tony Bradley. So we talked about the whole Chicago Bulls team. As much homework as I could muster into my brain before turning to mush. And I've ultimately come to the terms that Chicago Bulls are one of the deepest teams out there in the Eastern Conference, just simply because of the versatility they have with their small forwards. I would like to see them get another center. They need more centers on that team. The young center out of Montenegro is going to get some minutes. You could totally see that. That's what I wish I would have did a little homework on Marko Simonovic, because now, after looking at the entire roster, see that he's probably going to be the third center on the team. All they got is Tony Bradley, Nikola Vucevic, and him, unless I'm missing somebody. Tony Bradley, Nikola Vucevic, and Marko. So that's what it is. They're going to be small if they don't address that center position. I think Alize, if I'm not mistaken, he's a small forward, power forward, small ball center. I'd imagine you can play some of these guys small ball center if you want. You know what I mean? There's a few guys, but none I would feel very comfortable about. I look at a guy like Troy Brown. I want to see him get more minutes than maybe he'll be able to get with a guy like Ayo on the team, and so on and so forth. Pat Will, obviously being out, is going to shuffle that lineup. DeMar DeRozan is going to get big minutes. So they're overloaded at the small forward position. I think they can turn some of those small forwards into a more quality second-up center. So if I'm looking to make any moves, if I'm Mark Easley, it's probably to booster my size. Just give me one more big guy. Maybe take one of these small forwards like Derrick Jones. They don't have the role necessarily for him. In theory, Stanley Johnson, the role may not be there. So if you could turn two into one in that situation, it might be best for you. But all in all, this is a fantastic roster. I think they're going to be going for it, all of it. I don't think they can win because they got the presence of so many different hardcore Eastern Conference teams, but they're going to be one of them. I like them better than the Boston, to be honest with you. I like them better than some of these other teams. Miami, I don't love Miami like a lot of people like Miami. I like Chicago a little better than them. So a lot of question marks about some of the players on the back of this bench. They're young, so if it doesn't come together and they don't make the playoffs, or if they have some injury issues, stuff like that, it could be a little disappointing. But in all, as I said at the beginning of the video, we don't care about year one for this Chicago team per se. It's more about how they progress over the next several years to ultimately get the most out of this core. And can they get to the finals? Can they get to the finals over the next 4 years? That's going to be the question. Can they re-sign Zach LaVine at the end of this season? Will he stay healthy? So there's some questions, but the collective is good. The roles are good. The players are good. So that's what I think, man. Top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. I think it's a safe bet. They're going to be in the playoffs. My name is BDF44. Shout out to everybody in the shot. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.